Check, check. Hey, it's time to go live from downtown Champaign, Illinois. My name is Nate Albaugh. Been coaching football and a lot of wrestling here in Illinois for the last 20 years and host this live show where we just hang out with a coach. We pick a coach, we hang out. Each month we usually have a theme. This month's theme is the winter stream of all things wings. We are in the third and final week, technically, kind of, because next week on Monday, we have our one outstanding one on Monday. We had to make that up from the national championship night. So we usually go 12 streams in the month, and this is stream number 8. Jason Eddings in the house out of Cali. What's up, Coach Eddings? Coach Eddings always just gives hi every time when he checks in. Hi. What's up, Coach Eddings? Hey, Larry, there's my dad. The only man in America that calls me Nathaniel. But I suppose he named me, so he can call me that. Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. Tonight's guest, one of my favorites, Bart Curtis, out of Indiana. He's been a high school football coach in Indiana for many years. I first visited him when I went to Mishawaka High School, where they were winning a ton of games. He's a triple option guy. But not only just a triple option guy, he's just a fun character to be around, man. I mean, when you learn a lot of coaching from him. He's fun to talk coaching with. In fact, he gave one of my favorite presentations at the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association Clinic, which was called "Being a Good Assistant." And I mean, he just says it like it is. Like I felt like he put me in my place. Like you'd have to watch the presentation. It's hilarious. Basically, at one point, he's like, "Don't say dumb things." That was one of his points. Don't say dumb things. So a super colorful guy. I'm excited for you guys to get to know him. If you haven't heard from Coach Curtis before, he really is a super fun guy. Again, thanks everybody for being here. We are live. I'm in downtown Champaign, Illinois. I got Bart Curtis in the house out of Warsaw, Indiana. If you could share, throw it out on Twitter that you're hanging out with us. We only go for 30 minutes, and we call it a night. It goes real fast. Tomorrow night, we're talking Power T with Coach Poltrock out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This weekend, I've got a huge road trip coming up this weekend. On Friday, I head to Springfield, Illinois. On Saturday, I head to Owatonna High School, Minnesota. And on Sunday, I head to Brookings, South Dakota. How's that for a trip? All three staffs, talking to all three of those guys. I think it's going to be a total of 8 videos, all of which will be making their way to the online clinic. So I'm excited for you guys to get a chance. You know, I usually try to take some footage of my road trip so you get to see some behind the scenes stuff. But it's going to be a lot of driving, which I struggle a little bit driving. I think I'm a safe driver, but like mentally I struggle. It's so much time to be bored. That's how I feel. I don't know if any of you guys, I need some tricks for a road trip. How do I occupy my mind? What do you like to do on road trips? I got a long road trip in front of me this weekend, but visiting 3 great staffs and excited to be doing so. And again, all that will be coming to the online clinic. Hey, let me shout out my sponsor. Then we get our guest in tonight, Bart Curtis. Our sponsor is Coach Stone Football. Lay a foundation by going back to the basics with Coach Stone Football. Coach Stone has over 15 books available to purchase on Amazon. Want more information about Back to the Basics Football Drill Manual Series? Go to his website at CoachStoneFootball.com. All right, guys, let's go meet Coach Curtis. I think you're going to like Coach. He really is a ton of fun. Here we go. Let me go. Admit. I think I clicked it. Here he comes. Coach, you got me?
I think so.
Football Drill Manual Series. Somehow I'm getting a double sound here. Is everybody else getting that? All right, guys, let's go meet Coach Curtis. I think you're going to like Coach. Give me a sec, Coach.
I might be on there twice.
Oh, is that you? It's coming from your computer, Coach.
What do I do?
All right, just shut off the YouTube video.
How do I do that?
Football Drill Manual Series.
Oh, okay.
Somehow.
There. I shut it off.
There you go. Okay, now we
Am I
got
good?
you in. We're good. I was so confused, Coach. Everybody, this is Bart Curtis out of Warsaw, Indiana. Coach, I met you when you were at Mishawaka.
You did. 2009, I believe. Came up to Mishawaka and spent the better part of the afternoon. We had a good time.
Yes, man, and that was when I was just getting going with Chief Pigskin. Didn't really know what I was doing with it yet, but I knew I just had to get out and go meet guys and learn. At first, it just started. I had just become a head coach and had no resources, and I couldn't afford videos, or I couldn't afford enough videos. So it started just going, I got to get out and I got to go meet guys, and we'll see what I'm going to do with all this later. But ran into you and got a couple really good things. First of all, we talked some triple option. We got to talk to your O-line guy. Famously, what's up, Coach Klee out of Michigan in the house. Welcome, Coach. Most famously, we got this jump rope routine from you.
That's right.
That became like one of the most popular things we've ever put out. I still get guys that email me asking about that thing.
I would like to see that. I remember making it, and I've had coaches reach out to me and say, "Hey, I know you guys do a jump rope routine." I said, "It's on video somewhere." So if you ever happen across that thing, I'd love to see that.
I'll tell you what, I'll send you a copy of that. I'm 90% sure I know which hard drive it's on. You know, I got these hard drives. I got about 100 of these in my house.
Uh-oh.
And so I think I can find that for you. I will send it to you. For all you guys who don't know, he had basically his whole team, not his whole team. He had like a group of 8 guys. And they went through this jump rope routine, kind of a down back thing. But you guys did so much. Do you still do the jump rope?
We do. And not probably the extent that we did 10, 12 years ago, but it's something that we incorporate every day before our kids go into the weight room, anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. And, we swear by it. It's something we've done for forever, it seems.
Why do you love that? Because I think it's been good. And again, all the guys that have seen it have loved it.
It incorporates hand-eye coordination and footwork and balance. And, it's funny, we get these kids in as 7th graders, Nate, and, they can barely get the rope around their body and step over it. And every year we say, we need to film this and then show these kids how much progress they've made by the time they're freshmen, sophomores, or juniors in high school. And it's amazing to watch a 300-pound kid karaoke on a, side to side and hit each step perfectly. And that's kind of the gold standard is if a kid can karaoke jump roping down the floor one way and back the other way, you've got something.
Yeah, tell the guys, give everybody an idea of some of the things in the routine.
Well, real quick, we start out and we usually go 3 deep and lines all the way across, and then they'll go bunny hops to half court. Then they'll go right foot back. All 3 lines will go left foot back. Then once on each foot, right, left, right, left, right, left. Then twice on each foot, and then something we call jumping jacks, out and in. Disco, where the feet go over, back, under, back. Double jumps, where the body goes up once and the rope goes around the body twice. Mm-hmm. Crisscross, where they're crossing their arms. None of these, by the way, other than possibly the bunny hop, could I actually demonstrate. So don't ask me to demonstrate. Crisscross, and then obviously, karaoke, step overs, things like that. There was a time we'd do it for 20, 25 minutes. And like I said, we've reduced it a little bit to 8 to 12 minutes so we can get the kids going and into the weight room. But certainly something that has been a part of every program I've been at.
Well, I stole that from you with my wrestling program. I was a wrestling coach, and part of being a part of the team was like part of the team packet, I guess you would say. A jump rope was in it. And that we had our warm up. One of the things that honestly we would just put it on the board, wasn't an everyday thing. Usually twice a week. It was 1,000 jumps. And that we would start the clock, and it was how long till you can get 1,000 jumps, right? And it was just, I'll tell you what, to watch those kids, like you said, day one, tripping and fumbling over that rope, to by the time just the end of that season, 1,000 jumps. I mean, it didn't intimidate them anymore, right? Took them about 7 minutes. They got it done, and they were cruising. All right, let's move on from the jump rope routine. Have you ever coached anything else, Coach?
I have. I coached wrestling. I coached elementary wrestling for about 9 or 10 years at New Prairie High School.
Okay.
I've coached junior high track before and high school track at Mechanicawa. So, I've been able to, and freshman basketball 1 year at New Prairie.
Well, you don't see a lot of guys that have coached basketball and wrestling.
No, you really don't. And I did, I actually did them in 1990. I was freshman boys basketball coach, left New Prairie to be a head coach at Mechanicawa, came back as a head coach at New Prairie, and they were just starting an elementary wrestling program. And my O-line coach was the head wrestling coach. He said, "Hey, look, I'll show you what you need to know. Would you do this for a year or two till we get it off the ground?" And 8 or 9 years later, I was still coaching elementary wrestling. It was a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what, one of my favorite coaching jobs ever has been junior high wrestling. I mean, it was great, man. The kids are at a great age. Well, if anybody's here watching the chat, please check in. Let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. So Coach Curtis, I visited you back in 2009. And more so talk to your staff. You didn't talk a whole bunch of X's and O's yourself. You did the jump rope routine. And then in about 18, we had you, and you talked triple option on our online clinic. And
came up in Naperville.
That's right. You talked triple option, and it went for an hour and a half on just triple. The link to that video is below if anybody wants to go check that out. And then just a few months ago, I heard you speak at the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association clinic on being a good assistant, which, by the way, absolutely loved. I sent you a text and told you I absolutely loved it. I was telling my head coach, "Hey, I just got a butt chewing for you, Coach. I just got a butt chewing from Coach Curtis."
That was not my intention.
I thought it was perfect. I mean, just some classic lines in there, as I told the guys when I first got on here tonight. Like, don't say dumb stuff. But more realistically, some of the other things, like stay in your lane. I thought that was a good little line.
It is. And one of the things, I probably took a head coaching job before I was ready. I was an assistant for 6 years. I worked for some really great guys, and then was fortunate enough the last 30 years to be a head coach. So I've been in this 36 total. But looking back, I would not recommend that people do it my way, the way I did it, where you do it, you think you're ready, you find out you're not. Fortunately, the places I've been, I've had pretty patient administrators that have let me make mistakes along the way and grow in that capacity. I think that is so huge, that you have people at the top that A, support you, and B, are committed to doing things the way you want them done. And if you're a guy out there right now listening and you are contemplating taking a head coaching job, there are no bad jobs if the guys at the top share your vision and are committed to doing things in a excellent manner. The transverse of that is also, well, you can have the best facilities in the world, you can have great looking athletes, but it's a bad job if they don't share your vision at the top, and if they aren't committed to giving you the resources to build a program. I think that's key. And I think right along with that, if I could share any tidbits tonight, the number one thing that you've got to look for is great assistant coaches that share your vision, because it can't be a one-man job. It can't be a deal where I see things one way and guys on your staff see them another. I've often heard the adage, one great coach is worth 5 great players. I couldn't agree more. I would say maybe even one great coach on your staff is equal to 10 great players. It's that important that the people you're going to work with every day are people you like, people that aren't afraid to have football conversations that may be uncomfortable. I don't like yes men or no men. They're equally misliked and mistrusted. You don't want somebody that agrees with everything that you do, or there's no need for them. Transverse of that, they've got to share your vision of how you want things done, and then give them the freedom to go coach their guys and be the head coach of their position or their side of the ball. I think that is key for guys maybe just getting into this as young head coaches.
Well, I want to go check in with my guys in the chat real quick. I'm going to come right back to you, Coach. I want to talk a little bit about making that transition from Mishawaka to Warsaw. Coach Klee says he's coached both at the junior high level as of this season. Does that mean both wrestling and football? So you have done both of them, Coach? And Coach Klee was curious to know if you had ever coached anything else. I know Larry has coached wrestling and cross country way back. His first year teaching, he coached cross country. Jason Eddings, I'm curious, Jason, let us know if you've coached anything else. I myself, football coach a long time, a lot of years of wrestling coaching, and 1 or 2 years as a track coach even. What I was going to ask is this. So you're at Mishawaka, a well-established program, well-established staff. You go to Warsaw, right? You've got a son there that's working there. Yeah. And how did you know, like when you go into that, interview, what are you looking for to say, is this a supportive administration? Like, how can you see that just through an interview?
It was a lengthy process. It was one of those situations where my son was already there. He'd been there 2 years. I knew the head coach. Out of the clear blue, I got a text from my son in December, early December, I think in 17, that said, hey, we're all meeting, coaches and players. I think Phil might be retiring. And at that point, it hadn't really crossed my mind too much. And, I was very happy, thought I would probably retire from Mishawaka High School. Mm-hmm. And then, one thing led to another. I really give the Warsaw administration kudos, because one of the things that they did, I had a conversation with them in December along with 2 other head coaches. It wasn't an interview. I mean, I had sweats on, and we drank coffee all morning, and it was over Christmas break. And basically they just wanted to know, hey, what should we be looking for as we approach this process of going with our next head coach? And they did that with 3 different guys. And one thing led to another. I expressed interest in it. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with the fact that it would be really neat to coach with your own son. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure he feels that way all the time. He's got the worst job in America. He's the offensive coordinator for his dad. So, yeah. So he has and I've got the headsets on Friday nights, and we have some incredible conversations.
I'll bet.
That take place on Friday nights. But it was evident to me right from the beginning that they wanted football to be important at Warsaw, and that they were committed to providing the resources necessary, albeit coaches, albeit improvement. We just hired a strength coach that played for me at Mishawaka, was probably in the jump rope video.
Yeah.
So and just having some of the familiarity with the guys that were already on staff. I knew them through Michael, knew they were great guys and great coaches. And I think that was vital in making the move from where I thought I was going to retire at Mishawaka to starting over. And I tell you, there's those guys that have done it, where you've kind of reset things, maybe to stage your career where maybe you're taking some things for granted, or your things that you feel like are in place and are kind of humming along. There's nothing like changing jobs to get the batteries recharged and really taking a look at how you do things, and by putting a year-round plan together and putting it on paper and looking at some of the things. Okay, I used to do this. How come I'm not doing that anymore in Mishawaka? Or obviously at some point, this was really important to me. And we haven't done that in 2 years. Why not? So, I think as a coach, I try to always be in the remodeling stage. We're never going to be satisfied. We want to get up every morning and take the mindset, what can we do to take that one more step closer to where we want to be at Warsaw High School, which is 6A champions in Indiana.
And so Warsaw is in the largest class, huh?
We are a school of about 2,100, 2,150. Indiana has 6 classes. It's an all-in tournament where, if you go 0-9, you're in the tournament. If you go 9-0, you're in the tournament. It's a blind draw. And you got about 2 weeks to prepare film-wise for who you're going to play. And then in 6A, there's a bye week after your 9th game. So that adds some more intrigue to it. I think maybe it's 2 weeks total for 6A. Maybe it's 1 week or 2 weeks for the other classes. But yeah, we're fortunate enough to be in the biggest class. We were fortunate enough to win our first ever sectional at Warsaw last year in the school's history. So we feel like we've got the right kids in the right place. We feel like we've got the right coaches in the right place.
Well, I've got a handful of questions here, but I'm going to just kind of skip around. First one that came up on the video what's up, Coach Freeman in the house out of Minnesota? Welcome, Coach. You talked about a TMT camp, which was triple midline toss. Do you guys still do that camp every summer?
We do. We didn't do it last year because of the worldwide pandemic. But we are in the infancy stages of putting that into place. We actually are finalizing our dates. It looks like it's going to be July 17th, 18th, and 19th. That's held at Manchester University, which is about a half an hour, 35 minutes from Warsaw Community High School, which is really convenient.
And do you guys just really focus on those 3 things?
It is a curriculum that Adam Reese, who was my offensive coordinator at Mishawaka, and I came up with. And an example would be practice 1 is triple option mechanics and techniques against a 4-2 defense. Practice 2, midline mechanics and drills and skills against a 4-2. And we just take 3 basic plays against 3 various fronts. So we take midline, triple midline and toss, thus TMT, and we drill all the schemes necessary to attack 3 various defenses throughout the course of 9 practices. So one of the things that I think is unique to our camp is the line play. We got rid of anything that doesn't have to do with flex bone football. So the linemen are doing 6 10-minute stations every practice, and they're the same drills, same skills. All they are drills that are flex bone relevant.
And it's a how many day camp?
3-day, 2-night. So we go twice on Saturday, 3 times on Sunday, twice on Monday. So it's 7 practices.
So by the time they finish those 7 practices, they have gotten a lot of work. And that's the core, because you had said in your video that one summer you had this bad idea to say, okay, our kids know triple. Let's focus on the complementary stuff.
We did. That was a bad idea. That's one of several mistakes that I've made throughout coaching. But we want to take, regardless of whether we have the entire offensive and defensive unit back from a good team, we want to start day 1 like it's day 1 with kids that have never put on a helmet before. And we approach it like that. And we'll do so moving forward. The year you were talking about, I remember we said, hey, we've got that. we know triple. Let's focus on some of the things that we weren't very good at. And then we found out that about 3 games into the season, we weren't very good at the things we should have been good at, which is midline and rocket toss.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach, it just reminds me, my dad was my high school wrestling coach, and we had some very good wrestlers in there. And here I come in for my senior year, and I've won a lot of high school matches, right? And the next thing I know, all we're doing is, it's day one, it's stance and start, or stance, just stance and motion, stance and motion. And I remember asking him before my senior year, I said, do we have to do stance and motion? He said, absolutely. That if it don't matter how long you go, how long you wrestle, day one, stance and motion, right? So I just love hearing that, and I can relate that story to my own experiences, even within football. I can remember the year that I didn't start off focusing on, for us, it was our buck sweep and trap. The year I didn't do that, and how much I regret it. Coach, one question I had for you, give us some ideas, because some of my buddies, so when there's about 5 of us that are head coaches, or I'm the only one that's not a head coach now. The other 4 are. And when we were all together, we had a lot of success with our rocket toss. And we were playing with 2 wings, having a lot of success. And since we've all gone our own ways, I've heard from multiple of them, we're struggling with that. So, and what's your take on some key points to success with toss?
We've struggled with that too. And the play was actually on what I would call life support. And last year, I've done this before. We go through and what's working for us, what isn't. Is what you're practicing, what's being called on Friday nights. Those two should marry up. If you're putting 20% of your time of practice throughout the week into rocket toss, that ought to be called. I think I think there's many things that happened to us with this play. Number one, when we first put it in, it was so simple. And it was a minimum of 5 to 7 yards every time. And then you don't appreciate the 3 and the 4 yard gain. So I think that's important that, hey, if you toss that ball out there and you get 3 or 4 yards, that's okay.
Right.
It's going to go for a touchdown every time. So I think that's the first thing. I think second thing that helped us on the perimeter is instead of trying to always reach and pull the play side tackle, and then we developed a 3-step rule where if we pull that tackle in 3 steps, that 5 technique is widened and locked on, you block him. We started veer releasing to the Mike backer. With the fullback action away, that in essence blocked the 5 technique, or number 1 in the triple count.
Because surely he's been taught all week to squeeze.
Yeah, he's got to squeeze. He's got to close. He's got to get hands on that tackle. Yeah. So that kid's blocked. So that helped us. Then we were having some trouble holding the block because of our split end on a corner. And the play side halfback, or the slot back, was always in charge of blocking number 2 in the count, whether that be a down safety, a will backer, an outside B in the 4-4. And that's a tough block. So we tried to switch things up a little bit. We've helped ourselves with formations. We like to run it out of an overset. The other thing we've done that's really helped us, Nate, is we switch it just like it were triple against 2 high. So our split end is going to block the closest safety, and our play side half is going to try and circle the corner. I think that progression right there, those 3 things, in the 3 years have kept the playoff life support. And it was actually one of our most explosive plays this year.
How wide are you trying to pitch it? Like, what's the goal that the halfback catches it where for you?
The wider the better, but ideally right behind 4 yards deep, right behind where the play side slot aligned. Okay. And we want him to catch, he's got to catch that ball full speed. He can't stop, turn his shoulders to catch that thing. And this goes against what some people teach, but we tell our quarterback, you make him run and get that thing. So we'll put a coach out there with a cone, and the quarterback's got to reverse out, and that ball's got to be shot at the coach, and the halfback better be there to catch the thing. We always think the wider the better, but I think you can get too wide sometimes and then out toss the block of the play side halfback. So you got to be a little careful with that. Ideally, it's going to be 4 yards flat. You're going to go motion through the hips of the fullback. You're going to flatten out and catch that thing full speed right behind where the halfback initially lined up.
I also told one of the other little points that I told some of my guys, that my buddies, I would say, my guys, is that I feel like we wanted to be as wide as we could, but it's as wide as we can and still throw a strike. Because if the quarterback is not throwing strikes anymore, I mean, it's just too much to. I feel like if my guy had to worry at all about where that pitch was, right, slightly behind him, I feel we're getting too wide. Like we had a really good quarterback who wasn't like your pocket passer good, but you know, like point guard good, where he would throw a strike on his rocket toss nice and wide every single time, right? And then all of a sudden all those guys went off and didn't have that kid anymore. And they're going, well, my kid can't toss it anymore. My kid, you know, so that was one other little thing too. I was going, yeah, wide, but it's got to be a strike. I don't know if how your take on that.
It can't hang in the air. You can't bring it from the backside. I think that the hips are maybe not coached enough in this play. That quarterback we want him to slide step to the direction of the toss, reverse out and show his chest to the point to where he wants to toss that football. And we want it to be from the belt buckle. We don't want it to be from below the belt buckle where the ball goes up in the air.
Right.
We want it to be a nice, soft, dead ball toss that the halfback can catch running full speed.
I like that. Coach, we're actually out of time. I'm going to ask one last question. I know half hour goes fast. I say it literally every show.
I want to thank you for having me on here. This made my evening. I was kind of in one of those funky moods, kind of watching The Bachelor and whatnot, and just kind of broke my evening up. Kind of excited.
That's, you know what? I've actually felt the same thing doing these shows. I feel like, because it's a grind, I'm doing them every night, and but every time the camera turns on and I start talking football with a coach or talking coaching, brings me to life. I'm going to ask you one more question, Coach. It's going to be about two platooning, because you were the first guy I listened to that swore by it. But first I got to shout out my sponsor real quick. First of all, everybody that joined us tonight, thank you. If you could give us a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't before, please do. Tomorrow night we'll be back here again talking live with Dave Poltrock out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, talking a little Power T. Our sponsor is Coach Stone Football. Lay a foundation by going back to the basics with Coach Stone Football. Coach Stone has over 15 books available to purchase on Amazon. Want more information about his drill manuals, or his CSF coaching magazine? Go to his website, CoachStoneFootball.com. Okay, Coach, we're 2 minutes over, but I still got to ask you, are you still as committed as you were 10 years ago to two platoon?
Yes, with an asterisk.
Okay, let's hear it.
There are times, when your best kids got to be on the field when it's nut cutting time, when it's go time.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the tournament. We practice two platoon. We have an offensive side, we have a defensive side, we have 4 coaches on each side of the ball that is their deal. They don't have to worry about what's going on the other side of the ball. So I really think by doing that, you can make average players really good and confident by late in the season. So we are committed to that. Now, that being said, there are some kids that we script in that have to get time at either maybe linebacker or defensive back, or vice versa. There are some DBs that have to come over and practice halfback just in case. And that paid off for us this year, because we hit, with the contact tracing, we lost a number of kids here and there throughout the year, where we were fortunate enough to have some kids that played defense, were able to come in and fill in at halfback for a game. So we're committed to it. We're not going to delve away from that. But I really think that even though you may have 44 different kids listed in your 2 deep, I think you got to be smart with that. And, against certain opponents, you've got to play your best kids.
Now, when you go to this TMT camp, is that offensive players only, or is everyone coming and learning that? So now everyone in your program has had at least 3 days of offensive football.
We've incorporated defense into it. And, those guys kind of get tired of playing against the flex bone, but it's good for them. Because now Mishawaka has joined our league, and ironically, and so we play Mishawaka game 4 each year, and they're a really good flex bone team, so that gives us a little bit of practice against that.
Yeah.
But no, we kids will play various positions. You know, Coach Huber, our defense coordinator, might come to me and say, hey, I'd really like to look at this kid at outside B. Can you go without him this practice? Sure, go ahead and take him. Or, hey, we haven't seen this kid who I know is a defensive end. Well, let's look at him at tackle today. So it's not etched in stone, but it's a combination of a skills camp and a team camp. And we've got a team from Canada that comes, Huron Heights. Hopefully the borders will be open by July 17th so they can make the trek across. And then we've got 4 or 5 other Indiana teams that have also come.
Okay. Man, Coach, what a blast I've had talking to you and hanging out tonight. Any closing thoughts before we let you go?
No, it's just appreciate you having me on here. And I look forward to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And, keep fighting a good fight. And, I know we had that conversation about what Illinois football is going to look like, if at all. And just praying that you guys have a season this spring. It's hard times. We got a little bit of good news. I don't know that it's good enough to help football yet, but at least it's a little good news for Illinois life. So we're happy about that. Hey, tell your son he's next up. I got to get him speaking. Is he ready to be a speaker yet? He is ready to be a speaker. In fact, he has the dubious task of when I am asked to speak, he helps put together the presentations, probably 90% of them. So he has learned on the fly, and he would be a good one to have on here.
Good. I'm going to reach out to him. Coach, thanks so much for your time. All of you guys, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow night. Coach Curtis, good night.
Hey, thank you, Coach.